Who told you that? Who told you that? A Methodist pastor I know had a meeting with a young man, now a college student. This young man had grown up in this pastor's small country church. This young man had always been an excellent student in elementary and high school, comes from a loving family, participated at church. He received a soccer scholarship to go to college. He knew how to shake your hand and look you in the eye. He must have gone to cotillion. He's a young man who is athletic, handsome. So to everybody around him, they took one look at this fellow and said, he's got everything he needs. He's got quite a head start for a happy and successful life. Maybe that's why, at least one of the reasons why, this pastor was so heartbroken as this young man described in this meeting what he believed about himself. Because this handsome, bright student apparently hates himself. He spends several hours in the gym every day because, as he said to his pastor, "You know I'm fat, right?" Now, remember, he's a college soccer player. He's not fat. He hasn't been on a date in 2 years because, as he said to his pastor, "I know I'm ugly." And he doesn't have confidence in his future or his ability to succeed in the future. He's thinking of dropping out of school and giving up his scholarship because, as he said to his pastor, "You know, at the end of the day, I'm just kind of stupid." And as this conversation, this litany of self-hatred continued, the pastor gently started to ask the same question over and over again to the young man. He said, "I have to work out because my body isn't attractive." And the pastor said, "Who told you that?" "You know, nobody cares about me. I'll probably never get married." Who told you that? And finally, the young man heard the question and started to answer it. Who told him that he wasn't attractive? Well, back in 8th grade, he got a smartphone. And he got caught up in group texts. And the cyberbullies told him consistently that he was ugly. Then in 9th grade, the chat rooms that he got involved with expressed an expectation for everybody in the chat group. If you're going to be part of this group, you have to send naked pictures of yourself to everybody else in the group. And when he refused, the messages came bombarding into his phone. "We know why you won't send us the naked pictures. Because you know you're ugly. No one will ever want to get close to you." For years, this wonderful young man has been listening to the voices which tell him that he is worthless and ugly and unlovable, and all those messages are lies, all of them are lies, but he listens. He believes them. And somewhere in the midst of that, he's lost a true understanding of who he really is, and when we forget who we really are, then the world or someone in the world can start telling us lies about ourselves. You're ugly, you're worthless, you're unlovable. Who told you that? And why are you listening to that lie? In today's first reading, we encounter Adam and Eve. And the book of Genesis tells us the truth about who Adam and Eve are. The book of Genesis tells us the truth. In fact, God tells Adam and Eve the truth about who they really are. Who are they? They are the first human beings beloved of God, created in God's image. God's own breath and spirit has been breathed into them, and they have come to life. Who are they? Well, here's the truth. God told them that they are his partners in caring for this amazing earth that God has made. Who are Adam and Eve? God told them the truth. God told them that he had given them everything they would truly need. Everything they need is in the garden. Enough food, enough water, enough shelter, enough love, enough companionship and beauty, enough for everybody. Adam and Eve are told the truth. They can trust that God has them in the palm of his hand. God tells them that truth, but they don't listen. And so they forget who they are. And then someone else or something else can step in and tell them lies. The book of Genesis says that a serpent, a cunning beast, starts to tell Adam and Eve lies, and they listen. The lying beast says to them, you can't really trust God. No, you really can't. The lying beast says to them, you don't really need to listen to anything the Lord tells you. The lying beast says, you don't need God to guide you towards what's right. The beast urges, do the one thing God told you not to do, and then you'll be somebody. You'll be equal to God. You'll be happy. And that's what Adam and Eve do. They do the one thing that God told them not to do. The lying beast had promised they would become like gods and they would be fulfilled. But according to the book of Genesis, what is it that happens when they do the one thing that God told them not to do? Well, apparently the only good thing that came out of it was they realized they were naked. Their brains are filled with the beast's lies. And Adam and Eve, and remember, they've been walking around naked the whole time. And apparently that has not been a problem for them or for God. But now, while their brains are filled with the beast's lies, with the serpent's lies, they begin to experience that powerfully destructive human feeling: shame. That's how today's first reading ends. That's all we hear in the book of Genesis. I wish the lectionary had given us the next 3 verses. Because in the next 3 verses, what happens? Well, Adam and Eve are ashamed, so they hide. God, who knows exactly where they are, asks them why they're hiding. And they admit that they're filled with shame because they are naked. And then God asks the most important question: who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that you're naked and that you should be ashamed of how God made you? Remember again, they've been walking around Eden without clothes the whole time, but the beast has now told humans that we somehow are not good enough as God made us, that we must be filled with shame. And God asks, who told you that? And why are you listening? In today's gospel, a lying beast, the devil, tells lies to Jesus. The lying beast says at the beginning of today's passage, hey, Jesus, if you really are who you say you are, if you really are as good as you think you are, well, I have an idea. You're hungry. You've been fasting for 40 days. Use your power to turn these stones into bread. Use your power for yourself. And maybe even, if there are enough stones, you could create a lot of bread and give it away to other people, because we all know that the best way for a pastor to get a big congregation is if he gives away free food after Mass. And besides, what we all know is this: what human beings need, the ultimate good for every human being, is a full belly. But Jesus doesn't listen to the lie, because Jesus knows who he is. He is the Son of God, sent by God. And Jesus doesn't listen to Satan. Jesus is listening to his Father, who said, and I quote, "Humans don't live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of our truth-telling God." Then the beast lies again. Hey, Jesus, if you really are as good as they say you are, as good as you say you are, here's an idea. Let's go to Jerusalem, the high tower at the temple, throw yourself off and float down with the angels, because as the song says, God will raise you up on eagle's wings. Not Kansas City Chiefs wings, but eagle's wings. Satan says, use your power to protect yourself. Because we all know there's no better way for a speaker to attract a crowd than by including a shiny, miraculous show. But Jesus doesn't listen. Jesus knows who he is, and he speaks the truth. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. Jesus trusts that God will sustain him even when Jesus is suffering. So the lying one lies to Jesus again. If you really want to spread your message, your kingdom, well, what you need, Jesus, is political power. What you need is military power, the power to force other people to do exactly what you want them to do. And I can give you that power, Satan lies. I can give you that power, just worship me. But Jesus knows who he is and whose he is. Jesus knows who he is and whose he is. He will worship and serve his Father who sent him. Satan told Jesus lies. Jesus doesn't listen. The beast tells lies to Adam and Eve. They listen even when the beast says, you humans should be filled with shame. Who tells you lies? And who lies to your loved ones? Terrified parents worry that they can't protect their children and teens from the countless voices on social media and elsewhere who seek to fill young minds with destructive lies. The lies are told online, sometimes in school, sometimes in other places, all the time. What are the lies that our children and teens are being told? Well, things like this. You are not lovable as you are. You're not good enough and never will be. No one cares really about you. The lies continue. You are ugly. You're always going to be lonely. Your life doesn't have any meaning. The lies continue. In order to fit in and belong, you must forget everything your parents and pastors told you. The lies continue. In order to be good enough, you must drink this, inject this, send this kind of photo, own this latest thing. The lies. Yes, you're only in 3rd grade, but God made a mistake when he made you. So you must get that surgery and take this hormone. And your parents don't need to know. The voices that lie. Your parents may tell you that you're good looking and smart and wonderful, but you can't trust your parents. Everybody knows that. So listen to us. We'll tell you the truth. And the truth is this: you are too fat. You're too thin. Your body isn't right. The lies continue as we get older. You know the adult lies we hear. You need this alcohol. You need this adulterous relationship. You need 39 boxes from Amazon on your porch every week. You need this abortion. You need to hate. You need, because you're not enough and you never will be enough. To which the Methodist pastor asks, who told you that, and why are you listening? This first Sunday of Lent, God tells us the truth about ourselves and the truth about every other human being. God tells us the truth because he loves us enough to tell us the truth. What is the truth about you and me? It's this: you are created in God's image. You are beloved of God. You are God's partner in caring for this planet. You have been given more blessings, more gifts, more sustenance than you can possibly need or remember. What is the truth? You can trust that God is holding you in the palm of his hand. You can find truth for the direction of your life by listening to the voice of God in the scriptures, in the sacraments, in your prayer. What's the truth about you? You are already a blessing to other people, and God will continue to send people into your life for you to love and serve. This is the truth about you. You are so precious to God that he sent his Son, Christ Jesus, to tell you the truth, to show you the way, to die and rise for you so that you can know that every mistake you make and every sin you commit is already forgiven. This is how precious you are, and I am, and everyone is in the sight of God. But if some other voice comes along and tells you that you are not beloved and not blessed, if someone tells you that you need to be ashamed because you're worthless or unlovable, I have a question for you. Who told you that? And why are you listening?